How's it going, guys? This is Justin down at Flats and Sharpe Music Store, and this is another sequel to the video I was making, and this time we're going to talk about troubleshooting guitar and amplifier problems. I'm just going to go into basics because I could sit here all day long talking about all the little things that can go wrong with everything in a guitar rig. So we'll go through some basics, and anything beyond that you can always bring it up to us down at the store or any other professional technician. If you have any questions, you know, they'll be more than willing to take care of you. So, one basic thing is, say you plug in your guitar and the amplifier's on, you've done everything that I explained in the first video, and you notice there's absolutely no sound whatsoever. It's like a very quiet sound. You know that's not how it's supposed to be. First thing you can do is try another cable. You know, may not be the amplifier, may not be the guitar. Cables, they break all the time. So if you have another cable, I always recommend that you have at least two. One that you know is always good. You know, buy two and just always have one aside. So if you run into this type of problem, you know you have one that's brand new that definitely should be fine. Just swap out the cable, and you swap it out and you have volume, then you're good to go. If you change it out with a brand new cable and you notice that you're still not getting any sounds, one quick thing you can do is check the input of your guitar. Hold the end of the cable by the guitar and don't shake it around a lot, just kind of like try to move it a little, and if it feels like it's really loose and wiggling, it may be because it's loose in there or because it was loose for a while and a cable broke. If you're older and you're familiar with using tools and you're comfortable with trying to fix it, you can try taking off the input cover and tighten it from the inside. Don't ever tighten an input jack by unplugging the cable and just twisting it, because if you do that, then all the cables that it's connected to are going to spin around and eventually they'll break, and then you'll have to get all this fixed and resoldered. So if it feels loose, either you or a parent can try to take off the cover and hold it from both sides and tighten it. And if neither of you guys feel confident doing that, feel free to bring it down to us and we'll be more than happy to fix it for you. If it's just a loose jack, chances are we'll probably do it for free. But if it needs soldering work, you know, those are all cheap repairs, you know. So just remember, with anything, if you don't feel confident with doing it yourself, bring it to a professional and maybe just watch, and maybe you'll learn something so you can do it on your own at some point. There's one other issue besides the cable, which would be the input jack of the guitar. If it's neither of those things, then you could have an issue with the amplifier, where if it's a tube amplifier and you're just not getting any sound, trying out different guitars and cables, and you're not familiar with tube amplifiers, just bring it to a professional, because working on tube amplifiers and other amplifiers to the untrained person can be extremely dangerous. So just be careful, don't stick your hands in the back or do anything that you feel like might be wrong, because you could seriously hurt yourself, and we don't want that to happen, obviously. So if you think it's an amplifier problem, just bring it down to us or another trained repair person, and they'll be more than happy to take a look at it and let you know what's going on. Now, some other issues could be, you could have some crackling problems. Say you get noise and all of a sudden you're starting to get crackling, or the volume sounds like it's going up and down, or like the tone is changing by itself, like anything that seems irregular with a tube amplifier. That could be the tubes, it could be the preamp tubes, the power tubes. Couple of quick things you can do to the untrained professional is, if you have a tube amplifier that's been on for a little bit, you're noticing it's crackling and you can't figure out why, you can take a look in the back, and if the room is too bright, try turning the lights off or just getting it dim, and look into the back of the amplifier at the tubes. And if you notice, if any of the tubes are not glowing to like a reddish orange color and they're actually like starting to turn purple or blue, that means that the tubes are starting to get oxygen inside of them, and it basically means that the tube is starting to die. It's not completely dead yet, but that means that you're gonna have to replace your tubes pretty soon. Which you don't have to do that often, thank God, because that could be expensive. But that's another quick thing to look at. If you're hearing crackling, volume going up and down by itself, the tone just kind of changing by itself, any sort of weird anomalies like that with sound. Another thing too is if you're using a guitar like this, something that has single coil pickups, like a Fender Telecaster, Stratocaster, any sort of those variations that have these little single pickup things, these types of pickups can be sensitive to electrical current running through your house, the type of lights that you have in your house, cell phone signals, any sort of electronic, whether it's wireless or wired signals that are traveling through the house. So one thing you could check is if you know your guitar's good, your cable's good, your amp seems fine, but you're still getting a weird buzzing, try wherever you're standing in your house, try to, if you're getting buzzed standing in a certain position, try turning a little bit to the left or the right, walk forwards, backwards, just try to move around the room a little bit and notice if the sound changes at all. You may notice that you're getting a bad buzz and you turn to the right, and as you turn to the right, you notice that the buzz starts to slowly stop. That means that it has something to do with the electricity in your house. So that's not actual like damage problem. That's just the nature of the instrument, and there is certain things you can do about that you can fix. And if you're interested in something like that, it's another thing. You can bring it down to us and mention the issue, and we can talk about solutions to make those sorts of buzzes go away. But that is very typical for Telecasters and Stratocasters to have that mysterious 60 cycle buzzing hum sound. You don't know where it came from, you didn't hear it before. So don't worry, it's been happening ever since the 50s. So, not a big deal. Let's see. Some other things that could happen is, a lot of other damage that can happen to amplifiers and instruments I could try to explain, but a lot of these things are really hard to tell if they're actually happening unless if you actually open up the instrument. So besides all the quick fixes or things you can look at, if there's any other weird things going on that you can't really understand without actually taking the guitar or the amp apart yourself, just bring it down to us. We'll take a look and we'll let you know what's going on. So I won't get into any sort of other crazy things that could possibly go wrong because the list never ends. And as far as basic maintenance, to avoid these types of things, make sure on your guitar that all the hardware feels tight, nothing's loose, all the tuners feel good, none of the knobs are wiggling around, anything like that. You can check your input jacks, like hold it, don't try to wiggle it hard, just like try to move it a little bit if you feel it wiggling around. Those are all things that if they're not affecting your sound or your instruments immediately, it can eventually lead to a repair that's going to cost you money, whether cheap or expensive. So if there's any sort of things like that with a guitar, if you have loose hardware, that could be all fixed in a setup along with fixing the action and everything, so which we do here. And along with amplifiers, if there's loose knobs, you just feel like there's something that everything needs to be tightened up and checked over, bring it to a professional before you start doing it yourself, because you don't want to hurt yourself. You want to be able to play music for as long as you possibly can, so just be careful and take your time and just keep playing. Thank you again, and if you have any other questions, feel free to visit our website at flatsandsharpmusicco.com, or feel free to call us or stop by sometime.